John Cable and Tony Hadley are in with me. How you doing, lads?
Yeah.
All right, yeah, not
nice
bad.
to be
Good
back
to
in
see
the
you.
city.
Yeah, and it was noticeable. I was bringing the guys along the corridor into the studio, and the Cut Along Story was playing, and it was John was singing along. Do you forget the words, Tony?
Yeah.
You've sung it too many times.
No, I have had moments where I've forgotten the words. Very, very occasionally would I forget the words, but normally you just point the mic out into the audience and hopefully, they'll sing along. But,
no one else in the band can do that. You're lucky.
Yeah. Mind you, they impose with guitars. I mean, John can wave his drumsticks in the air, but
there's not going to be much happening if he's just sitting waving his sticks,
Yeah, but he can play one-handed and twirl with one hand, so he's clever. He's one of those clever drummers.
What was it like when that was coming out? That was the first hit, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, because were you of an era of a generation that used to sort of sit around the radio listening for the charts?
Yeah.
So were you listening to see how your single was doing?
I remember the first time I heard it on the radio. I was in my little blue Escort van and looking around me to see what other cars were listening to it. And that's the big moment. You hear your record on the radio. I mean,
you feel like banging the horn. That's me. That's me.
Here I am.
It's an amazing. I mean, because with kids as you were watching Top of the Pops and looking at your heroes and thinking, oh man, one day I'd love to be on Top of the Pops and doing that. And then, sort of years later, you sign a record deal. And you've got a chance of going on Top of the Pops. And we were lucky with Story that it went to number 5. But I remember walking into a pub. I was down in South London. And as I walked in, they were playing To Cut Long Story Short. No one knew who I was. I'd never been on Top of the Pops at that point. But I was like thinking, yeah, this is good.
That's like, for the mates who played sport, that's like scoring the winning goal. In the cup final.
I'm a perfect example. Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, I wanted to play for the Arsenal or play drums in a rock band. So no greater love of any man. I should be at the Emirates tonight, but here I am.
I was going to say, you're Champions League tonight.
I know, but I'm over here with my boys, so it's all good.
We'll do it all right tonight.
We'll be cool, man.
Okay. We'll be cool.
Yeah, think so. Yeah. Did you play a bit of football properly?
Yeah. I mean, funny enough, I scored a winning goal at Wembley actually in a
charity
game.
No, you didn't. In a charity game.
I knew he was going to say that every time we bring up football.
Never mind Spandau Ballet. You scored a winner at Wembley.
It's before the Zenith Day. If JK scores at Wembley, just type it into YouTube. There it is.
But that is,
no. Nothing left other than more of this stuff. And I mean, we start production rehearsals for the tour tomorrow.
Wow.
And then we'll be back in this fair city next Wednesday to play the Odyssey.
That's right, playing the Odyssey. You did it a few years ago. Was it good?
It was brilliant. We were talking earlier on, actually. We were saying, one of the first places we played here was the King's Hall, which was mental. I mean, it was kind of crazy. And the roar before we went on stage from the audience was fantastic. I mean, it truly was.
It was blood-curdling.
But it was great 5 years ago as well. The Odyssey was good. Nice venue, fantastic place. So
my wife and sister went to the Odyssey, and I'm sure you heard lots of people screaming and shouting and everything else. They were actually told by the security men to quieten down a bit.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh, we'll have a word.
Stop that!
We'll have a word with the security boys.
Scream as much as you want.
They received the equivalent of a crowd control yellow card.
Yellow. Straight yellow from a bloke in a high-vis jacket. Nice.
We're looking forward to it. I mean, we've done a few shows in America, which we hadn't done for nearly 30 years, and went down a storm. I think the show is really well balanced as well. It's got everything you want in it. And we've also gone back to sort of that electronic period, the Cut Long Story Short era. And we've done a medley of songs from, because we were a 4 on the floor, electronica band, really. And we've included that, which for me is my favourite bit of the set. But it's got all the hits and the bells and whistles and everything. So
because I was doing a lot of DJing, and when Cut Along Story and the Freeze and things like this, and all the sort of wannabe Blitz kids or whatever, that was all great to dance to,
Yeah.
And then a couple of years later, oh no, the new Spandau's a ballad. When True came out, I was like,
that was really cool though.
But for the DJs, it was no use.
I think that's always been one of the strengths of this band. We've been doing this a long time. I mean, I first started, I was playing drums looking at Tony Hadley's behind in the school music room in 1976. So,
it's a lovely behind.
It's a beautiful sight. But I think we've changed up gears. We've approached a lot of different music and putting the stuff together for this tour. As Tone said, we've gone right back to the first album, playing some tunes we literally haven't played for 30 odd years. And also, at the other end of that scale, we got 3 new tracks on the album that we recorded with Trevor Horn last year.
Yeah.
So it covers a lot of ground, and I think as a player, as a musician, as an artist, that just gives you so much satisfaction, so much flexibility to be able to play all those different types of music.
I mean, when you think about it, we could have stayed in that kind of, genre of music and been an electro band for the rest of our lives. But I think what John's saying is correct. I mean, if you look at story, chant, stuff like Instinction, True, Gold, Through the Barricades, they're quite different styles, but they still sound like Spandau Ballet. I mean, when we play together, we just instantly, add water and it sounds like Spandau. It's just the combination.
Add water, did you say?
Add water? No, sorry. All right, bit of wine, bit of Jack, bit of beer.
Yeah, you mentioned America. Back in the day, did it take off there in a big way?
We did pretty well there. True, was and remains a hugely popular record in the US. We never quite got around to as many places as we should have, but we're doing well there now. We're spending a bit more time there, and the Americans love musicians. They love players, and we're putting a face to some of those hits that are so popular on American radio. But in the Midwest, Spandau are a band in suits that played a ballad.
Yeah.
And as you say, Spandau Ballet is a lot more than that. So we're filling in the blanks.
I mean, on the West Coast, 3 sellout shows, and they went absolutely bananas, and people dragged their kids along as well. They've been sort of brainwashing their kids into Duran and Spandau Ballet sort of thing. But
but that's happening more and more. People plundering their parents' collections and saying, "Oh, I like this."
Well, going back to the vinyl collection, I mean, there's a few shops now in London that are really doing a lot of more vinyl, and it's not the sort of our generation. It's, although I love vinyl and I will still buy it. It's a lot of the younger kids in there buying vinyl because it's it's a piece of work, it's a piece of artwork. So it's not going to come back as big as it was, but it's not a bad thing.
Look, I mean, you listen to a lot of music over the last 10, 15 years, and you can tell they certainly heard a Spandau record or two. And good luck. I mean, that influence and keeping it going. That we grew up on I grew up on a diet of Zeppelin and Bad Company and Bowie and Roxy, and how you put that together and then spew it out. When you're a
talking
musician.
about your influences. I've interviewed so many high-profile drummers, and they'll say, "Well, I'm a jazz drummer. I just do this in the spare time." Is that were you a rock drummer?
Always, yeah. I mean, I've got a part-time band called I Play Rock. I mean, it does what it says on the tin. I was never a jazzer. No, absolutely not.
Have you seen the size of his sticks?
Have you seen the size of my gong? No, I'm a Bonham Simon Kirke boy.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the good things about this band. We all sort of meet at certain points, at Bowie, at certain types of soul music, a lot of glam rock, but everyone has their own little flavour, I'm a bit more Queens of the Stone Age, Tone's a bit more, the great singers, Gary's a bit more Blue-Eyed Soul, and that how we mix that together gives the band a great strength, and stagnate and die.
Well, if you were all in the same thing, it would get very stale very quickly, wouldn't it? Yeah,
I agree. Yeah, it's a nice vector when you can draw in everyone's influences.
By the way, I was in London last weekend. Everywhere I went, there's these massive posters of you guys.
Oh, was
the Soul Boys of the Western World.
Massive. We got the film. Called Soul Boys of the Western World.
The
tour's called Soul Boys of the Western World Tour. Hey, there you go.
But I mean, it was everywhere I went. So I hope that's not coming out of your wages.
It all comes out of our wages. You know that.
Yeah. So you mentioned Top of the Pops, and you'd sort of grown up on it, and for everyone, that was the epitome of fame. If you were on Top of the Pops. I watched some Top of the Pops videos you did, or performances. You were also very cool and calm, and it looked like we belong here. We've been played here for years.
Yeah.
Were you very, very nervous?
Yeah, I was. I tell you that. I mean, our first Top of the Pops appearance, I mean, it's a dream. It's every school kid's dream, isn't it? To be it's not on anymore, but it was at the time. It was, if you can be on Top of the Pops, meeting other musicians who you go, wow, hello, how are you? And then what's really embarrassing is whistling their tunes down the corridor. That's really embarrassing. But no, I get nervous before I go on stage every single time, even now.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Every time. There's a moment just before we go on where the old tummy kind of does a quick flip. Right, come on, control the nerves. Yeah, but I think it's a good thing. Because when you're tired and you're fatigued or whatever,
Yeah,
or got flu,
some adrenaline when you need it, maybe. Yeah.
Buzz, yeah.
Adrenaline's the best drug in the world. I wouldn't say getting nervous, but I think there's like a ritual, there's a routine that you go through, so that, as Tone says, no matter whether you've had a good day or bad day, eaten, slept or whatever, come 8 o'clock, there's a load of people out the other side of that curtain that you've got to perform to. You know, rock and roll, a must-do industry. You know, that's it. You're on. We don't care. Is your finger broken? Well, we'll just gaffer tape it up and off you go, mate.
I remember speaking to Ian Dury, and it was maybe about a year before he died. God bless him. He actually was receiving treatment on tour, and I said, "How do you do it?" He said, "Dr. Showbiz kicks in at 8 o'clock."
That's
Gets you through the gig.
True.
If rock and roll was easy, then everyone would do it.
Yeah. But he says you get your little burst for as long as you need it, and then maybe you got to go to bed or lie down, but you get through the show.
It's funny, I did a tour, an orchestral tour with one of the artists was Alice Cooper. Great guy. What a lovely, lovely man. And he used to see him in the morning and come down, "Hi, Tom." So I said, "Oh, yeah, Alice, you have to play some golf." He's a scratch golfer, amazing. And he's incredible. And he's kind of come down like this, you know. And then before he goes on stage, when he's got his leathers on, all of a sudden he becomes this giant of a man with all his makeup. And Barlicats, he watches kung fu movies to psych him up before he goes on stage. And then all of a sudden, from this guy who's going around with his shorts and playing golf, he becomes Alice Cooper. And it's quite amazing, actually.
Yeah, I'd agree. There are sometimes you sit behind the kit as the intro tape's on and you think, right, all I've got to do is hit all these various things a few 100,000 times at varying intervals with varying velocities. Oh, really? But then once you get to the 3 count, you don't really think about it.
But you're the man for whom it is a physical endurance test as well.
To be fair, Tony as well. I mean, you know, we do the physical labour in this in this band. You know, singing's a very physical thing, and you know he has to look after himself. You know, that's why his voice is better than it's ever been. But yeah, you're right. Yeah, we put in the hard yards.
Yeah, you carry the rest of them. I know that.
We carry the rest. The sets, you know, it's a great set, but you know, when you look at all the songs, they're quite. There's a lot of singing there. I don't get a break. I don't go, hey, let's do a 10-minute instrumental break. No, we don't really get that. And and it's a lot of the songs are really up there as well and powerful. I've not dropped any keys before you asked, so it's still there. I'm singing higher now than I sang before, which is ridiculous. I don't even understand it myself.
I mean, it's kind of why Through the Barricades for me is my favourite song in the set, because I get 5 minutes off at the front.
You get a cup of tea.
A cup of tea, that was it.
Oh, the cup of tea.
You know, that boring bit at the front where it's just vocals and guitar, and then the song really sort of starts when I come in later.
Yeah, but you again, given the stuff that you have to play, you must look at Barricades or True as I'll make it to the next water hole. Basically, it's the next.
Set is like that. It's about you have to pace yourself, and you know, over the next sort of few days, that's what we're going to be doing at rehearsals and. Hopefully, it'll be.
You're doing a load of gigs. How long's the whole tour last?
We're touring until September, October. I mean, you know, we don't get a lot of time off in between gigs. It's 3 on, 1 off, 3 on, 1 off. It's sometimes 4 on, 1 off. It's a lot of. I tell you what it is. The thing that gets you is the travelling. Now, people say to me, that's because, you know, I'm going to be hit 55 in June. All presents welcome. No, I'm joking. But it's, you know, I'm going to hit 55 and they say, it's because you're getting older. But it was the same when you're 25. It's the travelling every time that really, you know, that constant travelling across time zones and stuff, being in a bus, that's what wears you down. Yeah. No matter what age you are.
Never mind the gigs, because you can lift yourself for the gig, but it's all the other stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
You're doing a load of dates, you know.
But bring it on. You know, we've been around the world a couple of times over the last year promoting the film and talking to people and having our photos taken. You know, this is now it gets serious. This is the bit we love. This is the instant gratification bit for us. We get to see you out there, and you know that's what makes it for us.
Is he coming? I'm not sure.
Well, I've put him on a guest list.
So Belfast next Wednesday in the Odyssey. I mean, I can see there's hundreds of people getting in touch here.
Do you know, we've always had a very good relationship with Belfast. You know, back in the early 80s, a lot of bands wouldn't come and play here for you know, for whatever reasons, but we always made the effort and came to Belfast, and we've got a great affinity to this place. And obviously, we're talking about Through the Barricades. I mean, that's a song that was inspired by this city in darker times. And It's going to be wild next Wednesday.
Well, the folks really do appreciate that you came then and you're coming again.
Oh no, thank you. No,
try and stop us.
It's what we do, what we love. So we're lucky to still be doing it. You know, it was a dream when we were kids, and we're still. God, how old are we now?
Same old dream.
Same old dream.
Yeah,
you know, but it's good. I love it.
Okay, John, Tony, thanks
Thank you very
much, guys.
much. Cheers. Lovely. Thank you.